Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a big one for so many of you. Crafting a daily English learning routine that actually sticks and gets you results.
Yeah.
We all know the desire is there, but turning that into consistent action, that can feel like a real puzzle.
It absolutely can. And for this deep dive, we've really dug into a fantastic resource that doesn't just tell you what to do to build that routine, but dives into why it's so effective and how to navigate those inevitable bumps in the road.
Right.
Our goal today is really to equip you with clarity and truly actionable steps you can weave into your day.
Exactly. Our mission today for you tuning in is to cut through the confusion, give you a clear roadmap for consistent English practice. We want you to feel confident in how you're spending your study time and see real progress, banishing that feeling of just, not knowing where to start.
And what's fascinating about the source material is how powerfully it argues for a consistent daily routine. It highlights 4 key reasons why this approach is so vital for language learning. First, think of language learning as cumulative. It's like building a tower brick by brick.
Yeah.
Each day's practice reinforces what you've learned before, making that foundation stronger.
That makes so much sense. It's not about trying to cram a whole week's worth of study into one massive session that always feels overwhelming and frankly rarely sticks. This is more about those regular, smaller deposits of learning.
Right. And the second reason the source emphasizes is how a routine fuels momentum and motivation. When it becomes a regular part of your day, like say brushing your teeth, it shifts from being a chore to just something you do.
Yeah.
Plus, even small daily wins like mastering a few new words give you that little spark to keep going.
Keeps you motivated.
Precisely. Thirdly, a well-rounded daily routine ensures you're hitting all the crucial skills: speaking, writing, listening, and reading on a regular basis.
You can't really skip one, can you?
No, you can't neglect one and expect to become truly proficient. They all work together and strengthen each other.
And this fourth point really resonates with what we hear from a lot of learners. A daily routine is a fantastic tool for tackling that fear and anxiety around speaking English.
Oh, absolutely.
The more you engage with the language, even in small ways each day, the more comfortable and confident you become. It's about gradually and gently expanding your comfort zone.
Now, our source also shines a light on some really common stumbling blocks that learners face when trying to establish this kind of daily routine.
Yeah, recognizing these is half the battle, isn't it?
It really is. It helps you anticipate and overcome them.
Absolutely. The first big one is simply not knowing what to practice.
Right.
With so many aspects of English grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, conversation, it's easy to feel lost and end up with unfocused study sessions that don't feel particularly productive.
And that often leads to the second challenge.
Yeah.
Poor time management. Life is busy.
Tell me about it.
And finding consistent slots for language learning can feel like adding another item to an already overflowing to-do list. Learners often resort to last-minute cramming or end up doing too little, too sporadically.
Which brings us to inconsistency, the third major hurdle. You might start with the best intentions, but skipping days here and there, it can really derail your progress and kill your motivation. Sometimes it's because learners set goals that are just, too ambitious, leading quickly to burnout.
Definitely. Then we have the issue of lacking resources or clear guidance. Where do you even begin to look for effective learning material?
Right.
And that feeling of being unsure whether you're practicing correctly, especially when it comes to speaking without feedback, that can be a real obstacle.
And that fear of speaking brings us to the fifth common problem, the difficulty of actually getting speaking practice. Finding reliable language partners can be tricky, and the fear of making mistakes or feeling self-conscious can be really powerful.
But the encouraging news is that our source provides some really clear and practical solutions to these very challenges.
Okay, good.
For that initial problem of not knowing what to practice, the key is to break down your broader language learning goals into smaller, more specific tasks.
Tailor it.
Yeah, really tailor your practice to what you want to achieve, whether it's participating more confidently in conversations or expanding your vocabulary for reading.
Exactly. And when it comes to managing your time effectively, it's all about creating manageable chunks of dedicated study time.
Little blocks.
Yeah, the source suggests that even a total of just 30 to 60 minutes per day can be surprisingly effective if you maintain focus.
Right.
And the beauty is you can even break that total time into smaller segments throughout your day. Morning, midday, evening.
Which makes it much less daunting. And to tackle that issue of inconsistent practice, the solution lies in adopting that balanced approach to skills we mentioned earlier.
All 4 skills.
Exactly. Aim to engage with speaking, listening, reading, and writing in some way each day. This reinforces your learning across the board and, honestly, keeps things more interesting.
And for those who feel lost in the sea of resources, the advice is to really embrace the technology that's available.
So much out there now.
There really is. So many fantastic language learning apps, online tutoring platforms, engaging podcasts, helpful video resources.
Yeah.
They can provide structure and support.
And when it comes to finding people to practice speaking with, the growth of language exchange apps and online and even local language learning groups has made it significantly easier to connect.
Yeah, apps like HelloTalk, Tandem, they really help.
They do.
Crucially, the source emphasizes the importance of setting realistic and, importantly, specific goals.
Not just get better.
No, exactly. Instead of just saying, I want to improve my English, set tangible targets like, I will learn 5 new words today and try to use them, or I will speak in English for 10 minutes.
Gives you something concrete to aim for.
And a clear sense of accomplishment when you hit it.
And finally, remember that your routine isn't set in stone. Make time to regularly reflect on what's working for you and what's not.
Be flexible.
Yes. Be prepared to tweak your schedule, the types of activities you're doing, even the resources you're using as you progress and as your needs evolve. It's an ongoing process.
Okay, now the source lays out a really helpful framework for the best daily routine, suggesting a total daily time commitment of around 60 to 90 minutes.
Which, as we said, can be broken down.
Definitely splittable. Let's get into the specifics of this framework, starting with the morning routine.
So the morning routine is suggested to be around 15 to 20 minutes. Pretty manageable.
Yeah.
The first chunk, about 10 to 15 minutes, should be dedicated to vocabulary and phrase learning. The source really highlights using flashcards, physical or digital.
Like Anki or Quizlet.
Exactly. Apps like Anki or Quizlet are great. The key is to include pictures to aid memory, clear pronunciation guides.
So you know how to say it.
Right. And crucially, example sentences that show you how the words are used in context.
Oh, I'm a huge believer in learning vocabulary thematically. Grouping words by topic, food, travel, work, they just seem to stick better, don't they?
They really do. It provides context.
And I can't stress enough the importance of saying those new words and phrases out loud.
Yes. Engage multiple senses.
Seeing the word, hearing it pronounced, physically saying it yourself creates a much stronger connection. The example our source gives is to aim for maybe 5 new words or phrases each morning, and then actively try to weave them into a sentence or two.
Following that vocabulary boost, The morning routine includes about 5 minutes of listening practice with active focus.
Just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes. The suggestion is short audio clips, a brief news segment, a podcast snippet, a short YouTube video at your level.
Okay.
The main goal here isn't necessarily to understand every single word.
Which can be overwhelming.
Exactly. It's to really focus your attention, try to identify any of those new vocabulary words you just learned, or maybe some specific grammar points. Just aim to grasp the main idea.
Okay, that sounds like a fantastic way to wake up your English learning brain in the morning. Next up is the midday routine, about 20 to 30 minutes.
That's right. And the first 15 minutes or so of that midday block should be centered around reading and comprehension.
What kind of materials?
Choose materials suited to your level. Interesting articles online, blog posts on topics you enjoy, short stories, or even graded readers.
Graded readers are excellent for building confidence.
They really are. And as you're reading, make it active. Don't just passively scan. Highlight unfamiliar words.
Look them up.
Maybe not every single one, but the key ones. Look up meanings. Note interesting sentence structures. The source suggests summarizing what you've read afterwards, either aloud or jotting down a few sentences.
And reading about stuff you actually like helps a lot.
Oh, immensely. When you're engaged with the content, the learning feels more natural, less like a chore.
Definitely.
Following your reading session, the midday routine allocates about 10 to 15 minutes for writing practice.
Okay, what does that look like?
It could be anything from a short paragraph reflecting on what you just read to a brief journal entry about your day.
Using the new vocab.
Yes. The primary focus is actively trying to incorporate those new vocabulary words and sentence patterns. The source advises not to get too bogged down in perfect grammar at this point.
Just get the ideas down.
Exactly. Concentrate on expressing your thoughts. You can always review and refine it later, maybe using tools like Grammarly.
Right, useful tools. Okay, we've made it through the morning and midday. Now for the evening routine, a slightly longer block, 25 to 75 minutes.
Yes, and this part really emphasizes language production, getting you talking.
Right.
The first 15 to 20 minutes of the evening are dedicated to speaking and pronunciation exercises.
So just talking.
Pretty much. Practice speaking aloud on various topics relevant to your life, work, hobbies. If you're stuck, use prompts. Describe your day, explain a recipe, discuss a movie.
The source makes a really insightful suggestion here. Record yourself speaking.
Yes. A bit awkward at first, maybe.
It can be, but it's such a powerful tool for self-assessment. You really hear your pronunciation, your fluency, those hesitations.
Your intonation, too.
Exactly. This is also prime time for language exchange apps. HelloTalk, Tandem, or even a session with an online tutor for interactive practice and feedback.
And don't forget things like tongue twisters or specific pronunciation drills. They seem silly, but they work.
They really help refine those tricky sounds.
And to round out the evening, the last 10 to 15 minutes are for interactive listening and speaking.
Okay, how does that work?
Could involve watching English videos with subtitles, pausing after sentences, and repeating them aloud. Paying close attention to pronunciation and intonation.
Like shadowing.
Exactly. The shadowing technique is highly recommended. Listen and try to repeat simultaneously with the speaker, mimicking their rhythm and flow.
Gets you into the rhythm of the language.
It really does. The source even suggests having language days, maybe speaking only English during certain activities or with language partners.
Now, for those who find they have a bit more time or want to go deeper, the source outlines some optional activities too.
That's right. One is setting aside maybe 15 minutes a few days a week for more focused grammar and structure studies.
Tackling those problem areas.
Precisely. Using grammar apps, textbooks, or good websites like the British Council's Learning English platform.
And another fantastic optional activity is cultural immersion, basically. Have fun with it.
Yes. Watch English movies, TV series, listen to music, try to understand the context, pick up on slang, idioms.
Get a feel for the culture behind the language.
Exactly. And joining English-speaking clubs or online forums related to your interests is great for just chatting naturally.
Okay, so we have the framework. Now let's dive into maximizing each part for vocabulary and phrase learning.
Right. Beyond just flashcards, the source emphasizes spaced repetition systems, SRS.
Built into apps like Anki.
Often, yes. SRS algorithms strategically reintroduce words just before you're likely to forget them, pushing them into long-term memory.
Very clever.
It is. Also, pay attention to collocations, words that naturally go together, like make a mistake, not do a mistake.
Makes you sound more natural.
Much more. Try practicing new vocab and mini conversations in your head, and ideally, use those new words in speaking or writing that same day.
Reinforces it immediately. What about listening practice?
Start with learner design materials, VOA, Learning English, TED Talks. Practice active listening. Answer questions about what you heard. Summarize it.
Don't just let it wash over you.
No. And gradually increase the difficulty towards native level content. Use subtitles initially, maybe, but try listening without them as you improve.
And squeeze it in during commutes or chores.
Absolutely. Passive listening time adds up.
Okay, reading and comprehension.
Choose diverse genres. Try guessing word meanings from context before reaching for the dictionary builds a valuable skill.
Good habit.
After reading, write questions about the text and answer them. And discussing what you've read with others. That really deepens understanding.
Writing practice then.
Keeping a journal with prompts is great. What did I learn today? Describe a memory. Mix it up. Write emails, social media posts. Focus on descriptive language. Vary sentences.
Clarity and linking ideas too.
Yes, use those connecting words to make your writing flow logically.
Now, speaking and pronunciation crucial for many learners.
Absolutely. Recording yourself speaking about experiences or opinions is surprisingly effective for self-assessment.
Practice storytelling.
Great for fluency and organizing thoughts in English. Use pronunciation apps. Talk with language partners or tutors for real-time feedback.
And rehearsing common phrases.
Hugely helpful for confidence in real-world situations, ordering food, asking directions.
Got it. And finally, interactive listening and speaking.
Remember those tutorials, TED Talks, YouTube videos? Shadowing is key here. Listen and repeat simultaneously.
For rhythm and intonation.
Exactly. Mimic their flow, their pauses, even their expressions. It makes your English sound much more natural.
So that's the routine and how to maximize it. But the big question, how do you actually stick to it?
Consistency. That's the challenge. Our source offers vital tips. First, as we mentioned, set specific, achievable goals.
Legible ones.
Yes. Learn 5 new words and use them 3 times this week. Or speak for 15 minutes each evening. Concrete targets give focus.
You make sense. And track your progress.
Definitely. Use a planner, physical or digital. Schedule your activities, mark them off, and celebrate milestones, however small.
Positive reinforcement.
Exactly. Variety is also essential to avoid boredom.
Keep it fresh.
Yes. Switch between different resources, podcasts, videos, books, apps. Explore topics that genuinely interest you.
And create a dedicated learning space.
It helps. A quiet space, materials ready, minimizes friction to getting started.
What about accountability?
Consider partners or study groups. Sharing goals and progress with others provides motivation and a sense of shared purpose.
Encourages each other.
Yeah. And finally, reflect weekly. Assess what's working, what's not. Be ready to adjust your schedule, activities, intensity, It should evolve with you.
Okay, but what about common obstacles like lack of motivation?
Happens to everyone. Remind yourself why you started. Visualize the benefits: career, travel, connection, and reward yourself for sticking with it.
A little treat helps. What about fatigue or just being too busy?
Don't feel you have to do everything every day. Break practice into smaller chunks, 5-10 minutes. Use passive learning time.
Like listening on the commute.
Exactly.
Oh.
On really packed days, maybe prioritize speaking and listening, as they can be more flexible.
And feeling stuck, hitting that plateau.
Ugh, the plateau.
Yeah.
The advice is to actively shake things up. Try new resources, different methods. Increase speaking practice, seek more feedback, set new challenging goals.
Sometimes focusing on a different area helps break through.
It really can.
Speaking of speaking, since it's such a priority, any specific tips for boosting fluency?
Yes, several good ones. One key tip is to practice
Online tutors.
Great for live correction and tailored practice. And again, shadowing and imitation really mimic native speech patterns.
Okay, to help people put this into action, the source listed some example resources.
It did. For apps. Duolingo for vocabulary grammar, Anki Quizlet for flashcards, HelloTalk Tandem for speaking partners, Elsa Speak for pronunciation feedback.
BBC Learning English app, too.
Yes, great authentic content.
Yes.
TED Talks for listening speaking practice, elo.org for diverse listening exercises, plus various language exchange forums.
And YouTube channels.
They highlighted English Addict with Mr. Steve, the BBC Learning English channel, and Rachel's English for detailed American pronunciation. Lots of good stuff out there.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, it's really clear that creating an effective daily routine is, well, it's a very personalized journey.
Absolutely. It needs to be shaped by your goals, your interests, your lifestyle.
But the framework we've explored today offers a really robust and balanced foundation covering all the essential skills.
The most important thing, though, is flexibility and regular self-reflection. Don't be afraid to adapt the routine, experiment, find what truly works for you.
And it's okay to start small, right?
And definitely advisable even.
Yeah.
Incorporating just one or two elements consistently can make a huge difference long term. Keep it engaging, keep it relevant.
Enjoy the process.
Exactly. Ultimately, every day you invest in practice, no matter how brief, builds skills and confidence. Fluency isn't about perfection.
It's about effort.
Consistent effort and a willingness to communicate. Embrace the journey, celebrate your progress.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening. Think about how consistently applying even just one or two of these specific elements, maybe those morning flashcards or a short evening listening session, could realistically begin to shift your English learning journey. What is one specific small step that you feel empowered to commit to taking today?